I hope that addresses that.
Chairman Frost, coming back again to your initial comment about President Lyndon Johnson and the Great Society and your answer to the question, Medicare, of course, is a very important part of the Great Society, which was enacted when Lyndon Johnson was president. Are you suggesting that Medicare be abandoned? Are you suggesting it be changed in some way? Please let us know what your thoughts are, because when you talk about cutting costs, Medicare is a very important part of the cost situation that's involved.
Right, and Medicare is going to be bankrupt pretty soon if we won't address it, and unfortunately President Obama hasn't been willing to do that. Look, Paul Ryan's, and I give full disclosure, full citation to Paul Ryan's roadmap. The plan laid out by Congressman Ryan secures Medicare for current beneficiaries. It makes no changes at all to the benefits that current beneficiaries would receive. Yet he's been vilified by liberal outfits that he's going to eliminate Medicare, when really what he does is he makes common sense reforms to save the program. Like I say, not only current retirees, but any person currently over 55 can receive benefits they plan for throughout their working lives. This was a promise that was made. This is a promise that can be kept if we plan and address it wisely now. But for those under 55, and yes, we do suggest that changes need to be made. As they become Medicare eligible, it creates a Medicare payment, initially averaging $11,000, to be used to purchase a Medicare certified plan. The payment is adjusted to reflect medical inflation, pegged to income. Pegged to income. This is going to be a sliding scale of benefit for future retirees, those under 55. Pegged to income, with low-income individuals receiving greater support. This is a progressive Republican proposal. The plan also provides risk adjustment so that those with greater needs receive a higher payment. It fully funds medical savings accounts for low-income beneficiaries while continuing to allow all beneficiaries, regardless of income, to set up tax-free MSAs. And enacted together, the reforms will help keep Medicare solvent for generations to come. Again, as I said in my first response to the first question, it isn't the program, it's the mentality that we can keep making these promises and expect to be able to keep meeting them. Yes. Thanks.
Chairman Frost, it's great to have you here at the City Club. I would like your reaction to and your comment on what it appears to be happening in Congress. There was a lot of hope when President Obama was elected for reform, for changes on many topics. But the perception of many is that the Republicans in Congress have been the party of no, standing against many of the reforms that he has proposed. And I ask that question specifically in light of one proposal, one program of his, the Race to the Top in education. And Ohio now is competing to be one of the states to bring a lot of money to Ohio for our education efforts. So do you support the Race to the Top, one of the President's programs? And what is your reaction that I think many people at least have observed that the Republican Party indeed has stood against many of the reforms put forth by the President?
Thank you, Jan. It's a good question. And in fact, the genesis of my thought for the talk today came out of a very good friend of mine, a Republican, who has immense medical burden himself, uninsured expenses because of a serious illness that he suffers from. And an email that I got from him, essentially saying, why aren't the Republicans offering anything? And he and I talked, and we talked about actually what Republicans are proposing, many things that weren't getting through. They weren't cutting through the clutter. People weren't hearing them, and it was a very eye-opening moment for me. It's why I wanted to come talk about real ideas that Republicans are proposing. It is disappointing when we see political expediency. It's been said that some Republicans are for school choice because Democrats are against it. And then you get some Democrats for school choice and you lose the Republicans. Happened recently over in Illinois. A very prominent Illinois state senator and the pastor of the largest black church in Chicago proposed a voucher program and had a significant number of the the Democrat legislature with him, got it through the Senate, where he serves, was over in the House, and he was let down by enough House Democrats and Republicans. Now, how could the Republicans not be with him on that? And similarly with Race to the Top. I'm committed to choice in education, but as I mentioned even in my talk, we can't just keep creating a shadow program of education and allowing the majority of our students to suffer in failing schools. We have to utilize the competition that charters and vouchers and others provide, and I really applaud President Obama for what he has put forth with the challenge. That's exactly what it is with the Race to the Top. It's well thought out in that mind, in that manner. I have some modest concerns. I want to keep an eye on it as it goes forward, because I would be concerned that it would be leaning towards and trending towards more federal control of local curriculum. But to the extent we don't allow it to go down that road, to the extent what we do is challenge our schools to get better, I think we can do it. Now look, we get disappointed by those of our own party many times. Jan, you know that too. Republicans in Washington right now are not clamoring to come on board with Paul Ryan's roadmap. Some are, but some are afraid of it. You heard the reason right here today with two of the first three questions that I got. What a political liability to be even thinking about, let alone talking about changing Medicare. I'm not running for anything. I can do that. You know, Paul Ryan's probably in a pretty safe district. He can do that and talk about it. It's dangerous to start talking about making the real tough decisions that we need to make. No one really wants to face them. And so with these changes that we need in education, with the changes that we need in entitlements, we're going to need some real adults to step forward and be willing to make some solid decisions. Thanks. Rick, how are you?
I'm fine. At some...
Should I duck?
Well, in fact, you're going to be surprised at
Okay.
my first comment, because I ask you this question at the risk of throwing you a real softball. Okay. We have a race for county executive underway, as well as a bunch of county council races, which I know well about. But in the county executive race, several independents, a Republican, and some Democrats. How do you look at that race? How do you see it as shaping up? What do you think the large issue should be? And how would you sort of handicap what's going on and shed some light on it?
Sure, thank you. Well, we have with us here today, our endorsed candidate is Matt Dolan. I'm very pleased that former State Representative Matt Dolan is our Republican endorsed candidate to be our nominee. Voting, by the way, starts next Tuesday. You can vote absentee. And I'm very pleased to be working with Matt Dolan. And we're very pleased with the plan that he's rolling out, not only for his campaign, but for the county. Now, how do I think this campaign is going to play out? Let me talk a little policy, a little politics. You've got what I still see, no offense to Chairman Garson, he's just come in office, but a Democratic Party in the county that's still in disarray. You have a prospective nominee, a presumptive nominee, in the mayor of Lakewood, who, as I mentioned before, very notably didn't support reform. Not only didn't support it, went out and tried to defeat it, and has given some differing reasons back then and now for why. I think that's going to be very difficult for the 2/3 of this county who supported reform, who knew it was time for change, to put somebody in charge who felt all we needed to do was study it, particularly when we've got another study coming up in 2 years, the charter-mandated charter review, that could easily, if put in the wrong hands, take us backwards in our county. So I think you're going to see a number of traditionally Democratic voters looking for another option. I think in Matt Dolan, they're going to find a person they feel they can support, as he has been a champion of causes for this region that have been in the best interest of this community. Sometimes going against his party, but showing true leadership in his chairman of the Finance Committee and working with Governor Strickland, working with the Democrats in the Ohio House of Representatives and his fellow Republicans. It may have been, I don't know which was tougher, but getting a budget through and getting it through with responsible measures in there, keeping our taxes down, keeping spending down to a measure we had not seen